emptiness, it's shunyata, it's the void. It's the ground of being. It's stillness. I ask you, what was it like last night when you slept? You didn't sleep last night. You were writing pieces. What was it like last night when you were in deep dreamless sleep? What was that experience like? Not looking back, like when you had it. Did you sleep last night? Yeah. Bad examples. It's a hard question to answer, right? I don't know. I was in it at some point, but it was empty, it was black. The point is, most of us, myself included, I'm not trying to be some sort of, I can talk all fancy about this shit, but I'm way at the beginning of this path as well. We don't know, because we don't have what's called wakefulness. We haven't trained our ability to penetrate those states, causal, emptiness, the void. Now, many of us, most of us, wouldn't probably be in this room if you hadn't have experienced causal and beyond at meditation retreats, at dancing retreats, at whatever practices you do have caused peak experiences, temporary glimpses of these higher states. The point is, you access it every night, but you're not aware of it. So again, states, boom, they're real, they're in your awareness, but there's this training element, this development element to it. That's what the spiritual path, spiritual contemplative paths help you to do. All right, so then we move from causal. I'm just going through. Is this helpful for me to go through these states?
I'm curious, how do we know about causal?
Oh, we know a whole bunch about it. But let me.
How do we?
I'll tell you in a second. Is this helpful for me to go through these?
Yes.
Okay, because I'll usually just throw the terms out, and then like at the end of the presentation, everyone's like, "What's causal?" Like, oh. How do we know about causal? If you look back, oh God, I mean, I've read like, and there's just volumes worth of direct first-person phenomenological reports of practitioners, again, across traditions. People that some of them I've met, others I've read that have gone back, searched out the rootest of root texts in the original languages, 3 translations back, to find out what that dude really experienced, what they really say. And we did it across traditions, and what do they find? The same reports. But what do I mean by report? I mean, I could say, go, run around the property 20 times, come back and tell us how it was. And you're like, oh yeah, I was hot, I'm tired. You describe your experience using words. That's what these practitioners have done. The ones who decided to teach or write it into texts. And if you look everywhere, literally across the traditions, it's the same type of report. So what does that mean? Well, it either means, we have to be really simple here, it either means one, that causal is a realm that looks like, the color of it is actually blue-black. Anyone take a note of it. Like, if you're in a meditation, some sort of altered experience, and you see everything fade to blue-black, like blue mixed with black colors, that's causal. Not necessarily 100% of the time, but if you look through the traditions, you ask you what's deep dreamless sleep. The correct answer was blue-black. It's not between me and you, but that's what the traditions say. Again, how do we know? It's either that, it's blue-black, or it's a massive, massive collective hallucination, which it could be. Back to those other deeply philosophical questions. But it's just like any science in so many ways. If 150 scientists cut up a water molecule and said, yep, 2 hydrogens and an oxygen, why is that so? So validated through communal experience. This gets into the idea, back to the quadrants, just touching again, of how do you validate something like this, blue-black for causal versus how many atoms in a molecule. This is a right-hand truth versus a left-hand truth. Yeah. Right, left meaning the quadrants. An interior truth, which is validated not through a whole bunch of scientists. And if you look into how much damn money they're spending on it right now, to disprove or prove spiritual experiences.
So that's right. It's almost, your question is almost a question like, does happiness exist?
It does.
No, does happiness
what I'm arguing.
But you have a personal experience with it, and when you have the experience, you say it exists. But when you try to measure it other than from report.
Careful, we're arguing different points. What I'm really trying to nail in there is the existence of real phenomena, reality, in both sides of the quadrants. The way you measure them is totally different.
Yeah.
You can measure causal. Not in the same way you can measure an atom, but you can measure it. You can verify the truth of causal, not through the same experiment as they've used to find out about strings, right? So the experiment they did use, they being past 2,000 years of, more than that, of practitioners, was meditate. Do some sort of practice and tell me for 20 years or something, and tell me what you experienced. Over and over and over and over again, it comes back the same. 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. Now, this is intense research, very, very difficult. I've never personally participated in it, but I tried to do. This was stupid. I should have put this in your reader. If someone emails me, if you remind me, Nick, maybe, I'll send it as paper. Or it's on my website for free. I tried to do, let's look at 3 traditions through each of these states, and just go back through people who've made summaries of it, and try to generate my own personal understanding. Massively difficult. Massively difficult, because the descriptions they use are so varied in language. The words, the metaphors, when you're talking about spirituality, are so different. They don't look the same, so it really takes penetrating insight to be able to see the similarities. So it's, again, just a totally different science than the right-hand quadrant science, but equally real, equally valid, and not, despite all the money being spent on it, not disprovable through the methods of typical empirical science. That's another reality of the quadrants. So real quick on non-dual, then we're going to hit the end of this, kind of coast into dinner. So, in causal, really high causal, practiced at the end of it, you reach a place, sometimes it's pulled out as a separate state called the witness. You heard that term before, the witness? So witnessing capacity, where the pure subject, the true subject, capital S, capital T, witnesses all that's arising as object. Can stand in the presence of God as all phenomena. You can't really say much about the witness. The more you try to say about the witness or non-dual, it's not it. The difference between Vedanta-Talas, Sagyuna Brahman, and Nirguna Brahman, the latter being without qualities, near, no, unit qualities, without qualities, that's true spirit, but when you start talking about it, it turns into Sagyuna Brahman. So they actually just created it so they actually can talk about it. It's just, we're making a distinction, it's a different thing. So, I'm not going to spend much time talking about witness or non-dual. Think of the experiences you've had. A lot of people, a lot of us, my experience, first have found or encountered the witness typically in a sitting meditation. It's kind of like a quick path right to the witness, not exclusive or anything, but it's a practice of Buddhist sitting that cultivates that state really well. Where you were looking out at the world, typically the feeling again, the evidence is, it's usually a felt sense that's either here or like here, behind the middle of your head, or like behind your chest. And it's like God's eyes observing everything rise. That's the witness. When that dissolves, that's a final dualism. That's a subject, no matter how ultimate it might be, witnessing everything as object. Subject and object. When I say everything is object, I mean everything. From emotions to people to shapes. Everything is object.